Today we would be writing a C program where we have to take the input from the user. Say we have to write a program to print sum of two numbers. To print sum of two numbers, what we can do, we can write a program like this, that we have included a header file stdio.h, that is for using the printf functions, because definition of printf is mentioned in stdio.h. Next we have int main, because the mandatory function we have written int main, and in curly brackets we have the main block. Here I have written my first statement as int a comma b comma sum. This means that we have declared three variables, a, b and sum, and these three variables are of type integer. Are of type integer means these variables can store integer values. Fine. And then we have variable declaration statement. These are the variable declaration statements. In next two statements, I have initialized the values of a and b. A is equals to 10, b is equals to 20. This means that I have given the value of a and b as 10 and 20 respectively. Now in next statement we have sum is equals to a plus b. This statement would be calculating the sum of a and b and would be storing the sum of a and b, that is 30, in the variable sum. Now what we would be doing, we have the printf statement, and in printf statement we have percentile d comma sum. Percentile d here indicates that we are going to print the value of an integer, and this percentile d is now replaced by the value of sum. So 30 would be printed. Here a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 20 are the predefined values or the initialized values for our program. I don't want to use the predefined values. Somebody says me that no, I want to give the values at the time of the execution of the program, and whenever I execute my program, I should be able to give a new value. Say at a point of time I want to give value of a as 100 and b as 50. Or at the other time I want to give the value of a as 70 and b as 90. So I can have multiple values for a and b, and every time I execute my program the values should be changed and should be given by the user only. So these two statements, a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 20, can be replaced by the function scanf. Now here scanf function is used to input the values of the variables. So here again we have the same function. The function is doing the same task, that it is adding the value of sum of, it is calculating the sum of two numbers and it is printing the sum of the two numbers, but here we have not given the values of a and b in the program itself. How this program would be executed, let us see. First statement is again hash include stdio.h, that means we have to include the header file. Then we have the main function. Then we have three variables a, b and sum. All the three are of integer type. In my next statement I have written printf, enter the value of a. In printf function we have already learned whatever we specify in double quotes is displayed on the screen as it is. So when I'll execute the program, on screen it would be mentioned enter value of a, and then we have scanf statement, and then we have scanf statement. In scanf statement we have percentile d comma and percent a, and percent means address of a. So this means that we want to get one integer value for the variable a. Say I have taken the value of a as 40. Fine. And then we have again as soon as I press 40 and enter, the next statement would be written on the output screen would be enter the value of b. So it would be it means it is asking one more value from me, and say I have given the value as 20. Now this 20 would be stored in the variable b. Now we have a as 40 and b as 20, and then the next step we have sum is equals to a plus b. 40 plus 20 would be added, and printf statement would display the result as sum of the numbers is 60. Fine. Program, I am again entering my values. We can have different values at every execution. Now, in my previous example, I have written this statement: printf enter value of a, scanf ampersand a, printf enter value of b, scanf ampersand b. These two can be replaced by a single statement as well, or we can declare as many variables where we can scanf as many variables as much we want in a single scanf statement. Let us see how. Here we have written printf enter value of a and b. And then we have scanf percentile d, comma, ampersand a, comma, ampersand b. Percentile d are again the format specifiers, and whatever number of variables we want to input, that much number of percentile d or format specifier we need to use per variable. So here we have percentile d, comma, ampersand a, comma, ampersand b. So we would be it would be asking two values from me. Whenever I'll give the values for it, it would calculate the sum, and the sum would be displayed, and sum of numbers would be displayed to me. Now here again we have written the same program, but we have used floating values. I have declared three variables: float a, comma, b, comma, sum, and we have scanf the values of a and b. Here we have changed the format specifier. Now it's percentile f because we have used a and b as float, and sum is also a floating point variable. That means it would take the real values. So in printf statement also we have replaced that percentile d by percentile f. So there is no difference. What we have to do is, if we want to add two integer values, we would be using the specifier percentile d, and if we have to add two floating point values, we should use percentile f as the format specifier.